Hi guys. I have to say that I've been receiving a few texts and messages now and then from people all over the world. Not like millions of people, but a few of you from around the world have been wondering what on earth I am doing, or how I'm doing, or how we're doing. Well, don't worry, I'm fine. Our family is fine. And despite all of the incredible practical challenges that we are facing, we are having a great time. Now, for those of you that don't know, early in October of 2020, there was a slight adjustment made to my job description. That's right. So the previous 21 months leading up to that time, I had been serving as the president of the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, USA. But in early October, Mother Moon, the Mother of Peace, announced that my family should move to Asia and serve as the regional president for the newly minted Asia Pacific 1. Not too big of a change, right? I mean, it's a natural fit. Look at me. I look almost part Asian. Some people have actually said I'm starting to become a little Asian, but I don't think it's true. So actually, the truth is that it took me by total surprise. Yumiko and I were totally shocked. I think you all know that. I've mentioned this before. But at the same time, we felt incredibly blessed. Yes, even though there was a long road of questions in between us and really seeing or feeling the blessing, the truth is that we both knew this would be a big blessing. So first of all, what is Asia Pacific 1? Asia Pacific 1 is the home to 3.5 billion people, including the nations of Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Myanmar, Laos, Nepal, India, incidentally, the world's largest democracy, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Maldives, Pakistan, China, also a pretty big country, Hong Kong, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, and Mongolia. That's 20 nations. So where do I go first? I'm like, I don't even know what passports, plus it's COVID-19. And because of COVID-19, there was actually only one nation out of these 20 that I could enter. And that nation was Cambodia. Cambodia, the Kingdom of Wonder. That's the current motto, which, by the way, we intend to change, but more on that later. This is a country in the southern part of Indochina in Southeast Asia. This is a civilization that was hugely influenced by India and China, in fact. From the Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms of the Funan and Chenla, which went up to, I think, the 8th century, through the classical age of the Angkor period up until the 15th century. Then, as the Khmer Empire, it held sway over like huge, vast terrain. I mean, almost the entire peninsula, or the Indochina Peninsula, including Thailand and Vietnam and Laos as they're known today. It was a vast empire reaching its apex in the 12th century. That's when they were building massive temple complexes known as Angkor Wat and the imperial capital of Angkor Thom, or Angkor Thom, Angkor Thom. After this period of expansion, there was a 400-year period of decline. Finally, Cambodia became a French colony during the 20th century. During that time, they experienced turmoil of war, occupation by the Japanese, a good measure of post-war independence, which then led to political instability. Most well-known is the incredibly traumatic period between 1975 and 1979, when the country was devastated by the reign of the Khmer Rouge, a rural communist guerrilla movement led by the infamous Pol Pot. During that time, over 1.5 million Cambodians were killed. I mean, they eviscerated. This was genocide. It was so extreme that at the time, most of the world didn't even believe it was happening, even though there were people reporting on it. This is a tragedy from which the country is still picking itself up from, clearly. And on my tour, I'm going to be visiting the killing fields. This is one of the most known places where you can see and feel the spirit of what happened. I'm also going to be visiting and meeting with some of the people who were there, who witnessed it firsthand and experienced the trauma of the Khmer Rouge. All right, our core membership is very small, honestly speaking. But while our core membership is small, in recent years, our movement, this crack troop team out there, have been able to make great strides, both in developing relations with high-level officials, including the Prime Minister himself. You've probably seen him at some of our events. But we've also made some great breakthroughs in blessing and education activity out there in the countryside. Currently, the population of Cambodia is about 16 million people. We guess about 3 million families. Very few people in the rural areas had access to the internet. But now, probably as a result of the COVID-19 lockdowns and insecurities, cell phone purchases have surged, and there are almost 22 million cell phones in circulation. So this means that we now have access to be able to deliver content to those folks way out in those rural areas. All right, this is definitely a journey of a lifetime. I'm eager to begin. If you want to join me, come along for the ride. If you want to see some of the ancient temples of Angkor Wat or Angkor Thom, or would you like to walk with me into the homes of these pure and humble families living in the most rural and remote areas under mango trees and with the chickens flocking around, and yet go into their home to find a picture of true parents on the wall in their upper prayer room? Would you like to know what it looks like to sit in the district city hall with government officials surrounding you who are not just there as government officials, but they're actually the people helping you in your HTM activities? Quite interesting. Or maybe you're just interested in some of the sights or the creative driving techniques of the Cambodian people. Really quite incredible driving techniques. Look, I cannot promise you the best visual experience, but I'm going to do my best with very limited resources and time. I'm just going to dive in the deep end, and those of you that want to swim with me, good luck. Okay, so the first thing you need to do when you visit a new territory is pray. So that's where we begin, in the capital city of Phnom Penh, to pray. Father said it's a good idea to pray at a central location such as the ancestral place, or a place that represents the founders of the nation or the ancestors of the nation, so that we can honor them and pray for their support in the work that we are doing in Cambodia today. This is the royal palace. We came here to listen to the history of Cambodia. The peak civilization was 13th century, and actually the Khmer Empire went deep up into the peninsula. So listening to that, just here to honor the ancestors first. That hotel through there is where Mother stayed. She came. Time to buy some water, Cambodian style. This is a pretty cool way to buy water. Drive through. Next, we visited the monument honoring King Father Norodom Sihanouk. He is the king famously known for helping to liberate Cambodia from French colonization.
We are now in front of the statues of His Majesty, the former king, Prince Norodom Sihanouk. He passed away in 2012, October 15. He's the father and the founder of this newly Cambodia.
Right.
Modern age.
We came to pay our respects. So this is the Independence Monument.
Yes, this is an independent monument, and they built after the independence from French colonization in 1953. So it's quite a long history, this one. After 90 years of colonized by French, till 1953 we got the independence, and the King Sihanouk, he built this monument to show the independence, our freedom of Cambodia.
After that, we moved on to visit one of the most chilling places in Phnom Penh. We are here at the Genocide Museum. This was an old elementary school that under the Khmer Rouge Pol Pot converted into an education center where he brought the elite of the city and tortured them.
Yes. And they torture people here, they questioning people what they are doing before that, and then they send people to another educational center that is a kind of suicide center. It's not about education.
Suicide center. Jeez. I mean, just to see the, look at this. It's like, even just the rusty barbed wire tells a story.
Yes.
Grandma is comfortable. So there you have it. That was just a few short clips of the first day after quarantine, which, by the way, if you haven't yet seen what it was like for me to be for 2 weeks in quarantine, and for some reason you're curious, then you can check out the video here. Okay guys, that's it for the first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you at the next one. I can't promise when that will be, but it will be as soon as I can do it. In the meantime, as they say, peace.